There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz Jackson.
Yo, what's going on, kings and queens? It's your boy Chaz Jackson coming back to you once again, representing GNG Gift and the Gift. Hey, I personally just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you for giving me your eyes and your ears once again as we get ready to dive deep into some inspiration that I pray will plant like a seed in your mind and assist you in becoming a greater version of yourselves. I am so pumped about episode 26. My man Art Jackson is in the house. He's going to bring you guys some value as we tackle the theme, the most common unspoken obstacle holding you from your leadership. He's going to give some valuable tips and techniques on how we can apply that to our lives today, family. And you know our motto, if you're new to this podcast, we believe here that we're all gifted differently to make a difference. I know each and every one of you are difference makers who are listening to us right now. Go ahead and share this message out to anyone that you think will be able to resonate with this. Coaches, parents, youth advocates, ministers, parents, student athletes, anyone that you feel that will be able to take something from Art's message. Go ahead, share this out. Go ahead and get you a pen and paper as well, because I'm telling you, will not be sorry for doing that. Also, I want to go over the mission statement, the whole mission of what we're doing here on this podcast. And I encourage each and every one of you, as well as myself, to take the daily challenge of becoming a passionate visionary who is determined to leave a legacy for themselves by adopting unwavering life values and serving others in the area of gifting led by God. So that's the mission that I'm on. I encourage each and every one of you to take that mission with me. I want to read off this short bio of my man, Art Jackson, and we're going to get this giant on the show. Art Jackson is an award-winning speaker, author, leadership trainer, and the founder of Generation Leadership. Based on 2 decades of diverse leadership experience, Generation Leadership focuses on providing students with real-world leadership training. And we got Mr. Jackson, Action Jackson on GNG Livestream Podcast. Are you ready to get it, King?
I am absolutely ready, super ready. It's so funny you say Action Jackson, and for all of us who are old school, you know that was a character in a movie. I think it was Predator or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
grandmother
And
loved
it
that
was
character.
actually a movie too.
Yeah, I know. And my grandmother loves that character. So to be called Action Jackson, it just immediately brings grandma's love right to my table right here. So I super appreciate it.
Thank you again so much for blessing us and taking the time and effort to come on here and give this audience some value. I know that was short what I read off. Art, is there anything else you would like the audience to know about yourself?
Besides being someone who's all about leaving a mark on this world and being a chief catalyst for a global organization called Count Me In, which I'll share some of that with with you all later. But it's an organization where literally we have people from all across the globe come in and sit down and have a conversation about what leadership is to humanity, not what leadership is to just you, but it's all about like just taking it in. And I love when you talk about legacy, because our whole mission statement is empowering people to live their meaningful legacy, not leave their meaningful legacy, but live. Yeah. So, and I'll say this because, by the way, I'm just fired up, just so you know. So if I just go there, like you can always like bring me back. But, you know, it's something I say, a legacy is not something you leave when you die. A legacy should be something you leave every single time you walk out of a room. So we have an opportunity every moment that we're breathing to leave a legacy. And a legacy may not be for you in that moment, like transforming the lives of 1,000 people in the audience. It may be that one barista at Starbucks who has this look on their face, and you just choose to say something more and have an impact and get them to smile. That's leaving a legacy like in that moment. So I love what you're up to. And Passionate Visionaries, come on.
I'm telling you, man, that is what we're on. That is it. That is Passionate Visionary. That's what I speak. I wholeheartedly believe in that art. And I love teaching tips and techniques on how we become passionate visionaries. And definitely the work that you're doing, I know you are vibing with that mission statement and you're on that mission yourself. And I'd love for you to kind of go a little deeper on your story of how you became a leadership speaker, trainer, to kind of get where you are in 2020, kind of, going through that whole journey. So do you mind diving deep a little bit more for the audience?
So I love that you bring that up, because actually, a lot of people think it starts in a moment where it's like you were in high school or you were in college or you saw this leader, and it may be that. But for me, it actually, like, this passion for leadership was this thing that I felt, and I didn't even see it as leadership. It was just like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. But growing up, South Side of Chicago, born and raised, dad not in the picture, and just really trying to struggle with, why doesn't he want me? Why doesn't he love me? I was my mom's first child. My mom had me when she was extremely young. She was 15 years old. And, just going through this whole journey of, if he doesn't want me, who else would want me? If he isn't making the time, why wouldn't he make who else would make the time for me? So there was just all this baggage that was going on. And, I grew up in church. My mom was a minister of music. And,
you might got to sing something for us, man. I know
So the funny thing is in Chicago during that time, there weren't that many women directors over choirs. And my mom started when she was fairly young, and she was very well known. And then one day she turned to me and she was like, "You're gonna do this one day." I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not. No." And she was like, "Yes, you are." And then, of course, my mom, being the person that she is, you just didn't mess with her. I was like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." And I remember when I directed the first time, I literally burst into tears because the choir was singing the song wrong. And I was like, "What are y'all doing?" And and my aunt Louise, God bless her soul, she was that aunt who was very straight, direct. She was going to say what she felt. And she said, "Look, you run this. When you're in front of the choir, you run the choir." And mind you, I'm 14 years old in front of my grandmama, grandpa, my aunts and cousins who can't stand me and all that. And when she told me that, something kind of sparked in me, and I started searching for, how do I show up to be able to lead the group? And without really realizing it, there was this boldness that I took on. And my boldness was actually through learning. My thought process is, if I get them to sound better than they've ever sounded, they'll pay attention. They'll be willing to follow me. And that was really my way of going about it. I taught them songs. I taught them songs that you'd hear on Sunday. It came out fresh on Sunday and we were singing it the next Sunday, and in that, people were starting to follow me. People were starting to trust me. People were willing to almost do anything. And even in all of that, Chaz, I did not see that as leadership. I saw that as me doing my job. But what I realized, and here's where a lot of people get leadership messed up, leadership is not about controlling people. It's not about telling them what to do. It's not about controlling or telling people what to do. Leadership is really about inspiring people to action. And that's what happened. And we became this storefront church on the South Side of Chicago. Wherever we went, they were like, "That's the young boy director, and their choir sounds amazing." And so that's just how leadership kind of got introduced to me, kind of on in an indirect way. But then I went into corporate, and I was very grateful to do that, because I was just in this mode of, I could show you better than I could tell you, and ended up working corporate. And I remember I was working at a bank, and there was this manager. His name was Daryl, and he was another African-American man. And at that time where I was living, it wasn't many of us, especially working for this particular bank. He was a branch manager, and just the way he showed up, I was like, where you going? I'm gonna follow you. Like, what? We going off a cliff? Let's go. Do I need a parachute? Like, how we doing it today? You know? And it was just really that. And I was so inspired by that. That had me start seeking what leadership was and taking that on and digging into it. And through my corporate experience, you know, they offer certain classes and stuff like that. So I was always digging into emotional intelligence, even before it became a buzzword, and just really digging into that. And that's where my leadership started blossoming at that point.
Boom. Thank you so much for diving more deeper on how you got to where you are in 2020. I took so much from that. And John Maxwell, I love his work. I was actually listening to his leadership podcast this week. And when you was talking about how at a young age you was in the choir and the influence that the corporate leader had on you, it made me think about the word influence, because you established the influence over that choir, and your mentor established the influence that helped fulfill some intentional beings or passion with you growing in that corporate world. And two words that he used for influence, people that truly build a firm foundation on that whole subject, is having passion and commitment. So, and I'm sure, you know, you brought passion when you were singing and really installing hope into that choir, and they begin to follow you. And if you have passion, and if you are committed to what you're doing, getting better, if you fail, getting back up, you're going to build influence. And I can say so many stories of people that just installed hope into me, from my football coach to, you know, a therapist when I got injured. And it's funny, those people that show that passion and commitment to getting me better, I found myself as an adult doing what they did. And I'm speaking from in my teenage years, young adult years. So, so I feel like that's really deep.
You know, I love what you're pointing to. And I think when we hear influence, passion, and we hear commitment, I think there is this myth that it looks a certain way. But I think what people really don't get is they're always influencing, they're always passionate about something, and they're always committed to something. Now, we always look at it, oh, you're passionate. You know, people look at me, and if they see me speak, they're like, bro, like the passion is just pouring off you. Like I have been blessed to have found and not ignored my gift, my purpose, because Chaz, I'm just going to keep it real with you, and I'm quite sure you know this too. There are people, their purpose and their passion will come stare them right in their face, and they'll see it, and they'll be like, oh, well, no, that ain't for me, you know? And it's so amazing that happens. But what I want to say here is, when it comes to influence, passion, and commitment, we're doing it all the time. You have to take a moment and ask yourself, how are you influencing? What are you passionate about? And how are you really committed? I'm going to take someone, I'll just use the weight example as a person. I am passionate about losing 25 pounds. Like, I want to be able to see, like, I will be grateful for a 1-pack right now. Like give me that, right? I'm passionate about that. But let's go to influence. Let's start there. Influence, you have to ask yourself, what is really influencing you to want to do this in the first place? Are you doing it so you can catch somebody's attention, so you can catch somebody's eye? Are you doing it? Are you trying to have the influence be you're trying to woo somebody else? Are you doing it because you're influenced by they'll never talk about me again? Or are you influenced by, you know what, this is me and my life, my body, my temple. I've been given this. I have a responsibility. And I can either choose to run it down and be okay with it, or do what it takes. So influence goes both ways. The other side of influence is this: how you show up, talking about losing weight. If you say, I'm losing 25 pounds, you show up to the family dinner, you like, child, I just can't, I cannot do this. Give me a piece of cornbread. Come on. Don't look. Don't you tell your mama. Don't you better not sick. Don't. Right?
That is so true.
That's influence. Because that little boy, that little girl, that little person you just told to go get a piece of cornbread and don't say anything, you're influencing them to hide things. You're influencing them that it's okay not to deal with the shame. You're influencing them in a way where they're looking at it where when they get that bad grade in school, they're going to try to figure out that way to not show it to their parents. So you have to ask yourself, how are you showing up and how are you influencing? Let's get back to the passion part. The passion part, I'm passionate about losing 25 pounds. And again, what is it connected to? Is it connected to you getting a boo thing? Are you thinking to yourself, you know what? Once I have my body, I'm going to turn faces and everybody going to line up and get my phone number and I'm going to be selective. But the moment that somebody doesn't show up and ask you for your phone number, now you're feeling a certain type of way because you're basing it on a result. See, a lot of people think that they'll be happy after they do certain things or have certain things. Really, it's you making a choice to be happy in that moment, and then those things come your way.
Gold.
And then last thing, commitment. Let's talk about commitment. We are so quick to say, I'm committed to losing 25 pounds. And then they open up a Krispy Kreme next door.
Oh,
man.
And you already know when you say you're going to lose that 25 pounds, hey, the enemy's going to come after you heavy. People are going to be throwing up to your door, Krispy Kreme, because, hey, they're going to test it. They're going to test that commitment. Your commitment is going to be tested. As soon as you put it out there in the world, it's going to be tested.
Here's the other thing. Not only are you going to be tested about your commitment, but you're really going to see where your commitment lies. I remember there was some years ago, this program called Body for Life, which is like a 12-week program. You eat a certain way, you exercise a certain way, and there's a contest you enter. And I entered this contest like about 5, 6, 7 times. But there was always an excuse. Oh, I twisted my ankle. I can't go to the gym. Oh man, work is getting hard for me. I can't make that happen. Oh my goodness. My mom, called me and she told me I had to make this Sunday dinner. So I just had to break it and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was committed. But I was lying to myself saying I was committed to losing 25 pounds when I was more committed to my excuses. A lot of times people think that, look, and for anyone who's listening, and Chaz, is it cool if I just keep it real?
Keep it real. Keep it off. That's how we do it on GNG.
If something consistently happens or something consistently shows up or something consistently stops you, you got to stop and ask what the common denominator is, and it's you. There is something you haven't dealt with. There is something that you haven't accepted. There is something that you haven't embraced. There is something that you're choosing to ignore. Because if you're really committed to something, look, if you look up on YouTube, you'll see, I forgot what race it is, but it's this young man who's running in the Olympics. He's running. And all of a sudden, I think either his hamstring muscle or something snapped and he starts limping. But to hear the story, he was committed to completing that race. Like literally, he was in pain.
That's my guy, Manuel Mitchell. He was actually on the previous episode. Yeah.
So it's like being committed. Like, you know what? Okay, if my commitment to myself is no matter what, come what may, you make it happen. You will make it happen. So I started that contest, I kid you not, like 6 times. And every time I started, I was like, I'm excited, I'm committed. And at the time, my sister and I had a place together. And I started the 6th time. I was like, I'm committed. And she said one thing. And you know how somebody in your life, you love them so much, but they say that one thing you really don't want to hear? You wish they was a stranger off the street so you could just like take them down real quick. She said, oh, are you going to finish it this time?
Ooh, don't that hurt? That's just someone you love come at you like that. It's just like, really?
And I know it's out of love, but I'm like, you know what?
But we need that at times, right? We need that tough love to kind of get us back on track.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And like so obviously our show's built around the whole theme of providing tips and techniques to young males when it goes into personal development growth. Now, I know we dived into a little bit of legacy, passion, commitment. What do you feel like at this time, Arik, that our youth is struggling with the most, and what tip and technique can you give them to overcome that right now?
So right now, I'm really gonna say, and it's so cliche, but I really hope that everyone who's listening hears it from a different filter when I give it to you. But it's definitely fear. And I say fear for this time now. I really want people to take a moment to just stop, whether you're a parent, teacher, family member, maybe you're a student. This year, with the pandemic, has been unlike any other year. When was the last time you can recall in your life where graduations were canceled, proms were canceled, people couldn't finish school the way they expected to, they couldn't attend their awards dinners, they couldn't go have the graduation party or do that? I mean, really think it wasn't just in the States.
It was the world, right?
It's the world. Because if something happens by country, there seems to be a glimmer of hope, because you're like, okay, well, that country is okay, so maybe we'll get back on track. But when the entire globe has been affected, you lose hope. Now, let me expound on this a little bit. It's not being afraid of, I'm not going to graduate. I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to do this. Really, it's a fear of really wanting something and being afraid that ultimately you're going to be let down. Our kids right now, and I have to give it to them, like I work for the Global Summit team that I work with. They are all volunteers, and they are either in high school or college. And one thing I have to say is these are people who have done training, emotional intelligence training, like all of that for years. And even for them, it was something hard to grasp. Growing up, by the time you start middle school, you are groomed, you are built to believe, like, you got to get good grades, because when you get to high school, that's going to be important for you to get that scholarship, for you to be able to, go to that college, this college. But let's say I'm in 8th grade and my brother is a senior, and I've seen the work that my brother has done since freshman year for his sports scholarship. I'll just say sports as an example. I've seen him condition. I've seen him have the sleepless nights. I've seen him with the pulled muscles. I've seen him happy. I've seen him sad. I've seen him go through all of this. And I'm at that point, like, we're about to get to that point. And I know, like, this spring, like, the recruiters are coming to the games and I'm going to be there because somebody's going to get my brother. But all of a sudden, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And you're just, go ahead.
No, I was saying that's a game changer. Go ahead.
And to see that, and then once that's seen, it's, well, we're going to give it 2 weeks. So just wait 2 weeks. We're going to have to give it another month for us to see. We're going to have to do graduations virtually. Recruiters can't come out. They can't see you right now. But you'll be a freshman next year. So everything will be back in order. You'll be able to go to school. You'll be good. Ooh, they're starting off the school year with virtual. But they're saying by October, we're going to be able to come back to class. Ooh, it's October. Yeah. They're saying November. Ooh. It's November. They're now saying January, and they're unsure of that. Now, I'm just speaking of the pandemic alone. I have not put on top of that a child, or anyone for this matter, witnessing someone they love losing their job, witnessing someone they care about not be able to do the work that they used to do or make things function, seeing the family fall apart before your very eyes, and you have to stay in the house to witness it, because where's there really to go?
Wow.
The number one thing holding us back is fear. And I say fear because right now, if optimism is ever escaping, it's happening now. And that's why it's important, people such as yourself, your audience, me, to have those conversations of optimism, to have those conversations of, look, instead of this affecting you, how can you create something new? I pose this question to anybody. I don't care if you're a student, you 9, you 19, you 99, 999. I'd really like to meet you if you are.
Yeah, I would too.
But here's the question you have to ask yourself. What will I be remembered for during this time? What will I be remembered for? Will I be remembered for just being like, screw it, I'm done with it all, I'm just going to go in apathetic mode and just watch Netflix? Or am I going to be remembered for, man, y'all had one roll of toilet paper up in that house, but you was on TikTok flexing and having a good time like nothing ever happened? How you doing that? See, right now, this is the time for some of the greatest legacies to arise. Maybe it's random acts of kindness that you do. You know, so, and I'm not trying to go all that deep, but for anyone, and I hope you all are relating to what I'm saying, you know, we have grown up. I grew up knowing that there was always something I could groom myself to be better for. Like, okay, I'm in high school. And for me, it was theater. Like, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm about to be Diesel from West Side Story, and I'm about to rumble like you ain't never seen before. But I had something to look forward to. But now that's not the case. So that is the number one obstacle right now. And when I say facing your leadership, by the way, I want to tell everybody, you probably already know this, and Chaz, I'm quite sure you have demonstrated this one way or another, that if you are breathing, if you have a heartbeat, if you could blink your eyes, if you could
finish that before you still got something left to do, right?
You got something to do.
Telling you,
you
man.
Have a purpose. If you are breathing, you can still move forward, you know. But how are you choosing? And actually, Chaz, this goes right back to that whole conversation of influence, passion, and commitment. How do you want to influence people during this time? Do you want to influence greatness? Do you want to influence life? Do you want to influence fun? And listen, everybody thinks that making a difference is like you have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, hold your body a certain way. No, if you are breathing and you say hello to somebody who has not been said hello to in years, you have had an impact. Stop thinking that it's going to take you to spark on 1,000,000-man march. Now, if that is your passion, if that's what you want to do, I support you 100%. But here's what I want to say. Stop thinking it has to be at that level. Stop thinking that it has to be that. You get to make a difference. And if you've impacted one person's life, you have changed somebody's world. Period.
Man. Dude, I'm telling you. Can I say this? Whoever's listening right now, I hope you took my advice. Got your pen, got your paper. My man, all right, is dropping jewels right now. Hey, I know you're not disappointed with me. If you didn't listen to me, go ahead and pause this bad boy. You can rewind it back. Dude, you dropping jewels for sure. And the word brand popped in my mind as you was talking for some reason. Like, what brand are you leaving when you walk in a room, when you're presenting yourself? Speaking from parent, teacher, coach's perspective, what brand are your kids seeing you in during this pandemic? What are you modeling? Kind of going back to what you were saying at the beginning. Hey, someone's always watching you.
Always.
Where are you at? Like, you can think you alone. Like, this is with these cell phones, but somebody's like dialing in on your phone. There's always somebody looking at you, figuring out what you're doing, seeing how you're presenting yourself, seeing how you react during a crisis, during a pandemic, seeing, hey, is he gonna go crazy or is he gonna keep calm? Like my girls, man, I have a 5 and a 2-year-old. They're constantly watching me. My wife's constantly watching me. When something bad goes wrong in the house, somebody spilled the cereal on the floor, or somebody yelled, just run in front of, whatever the case may be, you can draw the line and plug in the blank. Every time something dramatic happens, what do your kids do? They turn and look at you. Like, what daddy gonna do? Like, oh man, I just knocked this over. This fell on the floor. What is daddy gonna do? So something that little all the way up to a pandemic, someone's always looking at your brand. So what brand are you presenting to the world? Also, we can flip that onto the that young male's perspective. What brand are you leaving? What brand are you showing to your parents, to your teachers, to your coaches, to your community? What choices are you making during this time? Are you, like you said, sitting there binge watching Netflix, not doing anything, just depressed, sad, and frustrated? Or are you getting around people that are fueling you, throwing logs on your fire to help you say, hey, this is going on, but what can I learn during these times? How can I keep pressing forward towards my goals? What can I do right now? What can I step back since I'm isolated? What were some things that I wasn't cultivating as much whenever I was super busy? So there's so many things that can come out of this that, again, that word optimism, we can seek ways if we just get around good people, like-minded, that wants to do the same thing. And also sometimes it just takes getting quiet and really figuring out, hey, how do I want to move forward? What choices do I want to make moving forward? And that kind of moves into this theme, Art, the most common unspoken obstacle holding you from your leadership. I know we kind of mentioned fear, but was there something that's on your mind that, as far as a tip or technique that you would give to the audience?
I actually have one.
What does that mean to you, man?
I love that you point to brand, because that's actually going to be one of the things that I'm going to, one of the tips in a sense, and it's not brand, but it's something that I've been so grateful to have done work where it's all about accountability. And so for me, I literally have a contract with myself. It is a contract. And the contract is, I am a powerful, joyful, free leader.
I like that.
That is the promise to myself. So if you're listening, one of the tips to get around the fears and get around the hopelessness of it all, especially if you're a family, there's something powerful about creating this as a family. Sit down and ask yourself, where am I holding back? Where am I really not showing up? What is it that I'm doing? And what is it? How do I want to show up? For me, people look at me and they're like, why did you choose powerful? Or it's like, you get on stage, you rock it like you're already powerful. I'm like, you know what? That's the thing. Like, it's on stage. But when I walk off that stage, I go into the, who am I to be on the stage? Why did they choose me? Why did Chaz reach out to me? What is it about me? Like this whole like beating down myself. And this is like after being on stage, like in front of 5,000 people, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to follow your work. And da, 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 da. And then I was left with the question of why? Why? Like, okay, I made you laugh, but did you really get something? And so I realized that was a very powerless voice that was constantly speaking. And so a part of my contract, it was like powerful. Like when, like literally I was just saying different words and I kept saying different words. And then finally there were some words that started to resonate. And the first thing was powerful for me. So even when it comes to me, look, You know, and I'm quite sure you know this, with the pandemic, with the work that I do, because I work specifically with schools, 80% of my business was cut in a matter of weeks. In a matter of weeks. And I could have gone into that whole, you know what, see, this is why I should have never done this. Oh, it's just, you know. And for those of you all who are asking yourself, well, when do you have these conversations with yourself? You are talking to yourself 24/7, 365 and 366 on a leap year, but you have to check in. See, we act like that voice is who we are. No, that voice that's in your head that's constantly talking, that is a mix-up of your experiences. That is a mix-up of your past. That is a mix-up of everything that has happened, and it's always going to push you to a comfort zone. And growth doesn't happen inside the comfort zone. I know that's like, people say that all the time, but really think about it. So for me, it was like choosing powerful was like, you know, okay, powerful, cool. When it came to my business, I was like, I was afraid. I'm not gonna lie. You know, thank God I had some money saved up where I could sustain myself. But I'm like, I can't sustain myself beyond a year. Like, how am I going to live when I've built the last almost 15 years of my life becoming this brand? And then I was like, okay, how would the powerful Arik handle this? I started looking at different things. I'm like, you know what? Let me serve the people right now. I got a Zoom account. I'm going to put myself out there. Look, come to a Generation Leadership Training free. I just want to empower the people right now. I stood in my power. The second one was joyful. I smile, and if you meet me, I'm the goofiest person you will ever meet. Like, I'm that dude who you'll be standing next to, and I'll do something real funny and like act like nothing happened, and you will be crying in tears laughing. And people looking at you like, why are you laughing so hard? And I'm like, yeah, why are you laughing so hard? Like, that's me. I'm a big goofball, right? But what happened was, because of certain experiences, because of certain things, I lost that joy. I lost that joy of just being like, hey, let's go. Let's have fun. So because I know I'm someone who's quick to go in or quick to shut down and shut people out, I'm like, you know what? Let's bring some joy into life. Like, when you show up in a room, even when everybody is upset and mad, you bring the joy. Then the last part of my contract is free. Bro, you've done too much work. And when I say too much work, and this is for everybody, when I say work, I'm not talking about what you did in school. I'm not talking about what you learned. Let's talk about those life experiences. Let's talk about those things that you had to go through. Let's talk about those tears that you shed that nobody ever saw. Let's talk about those moments when you were one step away from giving up, but literally a ram in the bush showed up. Like, let's talk about that. And when you have done that type of work, there is a freedom. I was literally just talking to a friend earlier today, and he and I, we vibe so much because he's an entrepreneur, very successful. I'm an entrepreneur, very successful. And we talked about how people who are not entrepreneurs, or people who are just kind of in the day-to-day, I work my 9 to 5, that's all I'm going to do, and that's just going to be my life, like how there's such this different mindset. You know, but it's like, when we hang around each other, we're just free to be like, look, I had negative $452 in my account a couple of weeks ago, and that client finally paid. I'm about to go get some Cheetos. Like, it's like that type of freedom because we worked for it. So that's one tip. Like, and here's the thing. Once you decide what that contract is, that is your contract for life. I'm going to be 99 years old, probably in a wheelchair somewhere, still trying to speak to kids. But I'm still going to be living my contract, being powerful, joyful, and a free leader. So that is what is the contract that you will make with yourself? What is the contract that, when you think of as you say, the best version of yourself, how do you show up? When you walk in the room without saying any words, how do you make a difference? Do people feel inspired by you? Or they're like, man, I just feel the love pouring off for you. Okay, make that part of your contract. Man, like, you're just so like humbling. Okay, make humbling a part of your contract. You are just goofy. Make fun. Make something that if it was put on your gravestone, people would, and let me put it this way, your contract was put on your tombstone, but your name wasn't put there. But they saw your contract and was like, that's Arik. Powerful, joyful, free. That I'm telling y'all, that's Arik. It's that type of contract. If you are a mom, dad, sister, brother, cousin, family member, whoever you are. And let me just say this to my young Black men who are watching right now. Let me go ahead and just say this right now. This year has been a tough year. There's been many tough years, but this year has brought a lot of stuff to the surface. I have never been at a point in my life where I'm double checking and looking, and I literally have to check myself because of everything that has gone on. But here's what I want to say to you. You are everything you see yourself being, no matter what everybody else is showing you, no matter what the TV is saying.
I love that.
You are everything you see yourself being. That's how you get to show up. Be proud of who you are. You know what? As hard as this year has been, being a Black man, literally, I was delivering a virtual keynote at a school. And Chaz, literally, someone in the chat, in the last 10 minutes of my speech, someone put F all the N-word. Wow. The clan is getting bigger. And posted it like 60 times back to back to back. So it took over the chat. And I froze for a second and I'm thinking, is this really happening? But then it started, as soon as I started to go off, I was like, I'm a powerful, joyful, free leader. And I had to like reclaim it and bring it back in that moment. And then I spoke to power. I was like, look, whoever you are, thank you so much for doing that. Because what you have probably done, you don't realize it. You have lit some people on fire who's watching this speech right now, who is going to make sure that that does not continue generation to generation. So thank you for putting yourself on blast. The principal was like, how? I'm like, I have a contract. That's who I am. And then even that night, not even gonna lie, I laid down, cried about it. It hurt. But then in the morning, I'm like, I'm a powerful, joyful, free leader. So how you see yourself being, just own it. Just own it. That's your contract.
All right. I tell you, you will definitely bless the audience tonight. Thank you so much. You're such a powerful dude. You're such a powerful dude. I know you've impacted so many people up to this point. Dude, I can't wait to see what you do this next decade. Like, I know. Just
be ready. That's all I gotta say.
Like we both said earlier, you know, we still got breath in our body. There's still something left for us to do in this world. I truly believe we are God's echo, and we're definitely speaking life into other people. You know, the experiences that we went through, we're being oxygen to suffocating people during this pandemic, during this racial injustice, during all the oppression, the sadness, the frustration, the anger. I mean, we can draw the line, plug in the blank of how people morale is right now. Absolutely. But you are truly oxygen to someone that's suffocating, and you breathe life. You have installed and inspired some life into me by speaking. You have definitely been on here and you gave massive value to GNG podcast. So again, I just want to say thank you, brother, for blessing us.
It has been an honor. And by the way, I do want to bless a GNG participant. So let me know at what point you want me to say that. Because
so that's where I'm kind of getting into. I know for sure, Art, there's somebody on here like this dude. I'm telling you, he is powerful. He is funny. He is free. I want to learn how to establish my contract. I want to reach out to him. Can you share your contact information? Share what you got going on moving forward from this evening, Arik, and just kind of bless the audience with that real quick.
Awesome. Well, just a couple of things. If you want to check out the work that I'm doing as far as leadership training with different schools, like for teachers and things like that, a lot of work that I do is very emotional EI driven. And it's not the show up, I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to talk to you. And virtually, I've been so blessed to have a team of people who just rock it out like rock stars. Like they've been doing this for years. I'm like, can y'all teach me the ways? But you could go to genleadership.org. Yes, GENleadership.org to check that out. And then for me as a speaker, whether it's keynoting different events, leadership conferences, or just bringing some people together who just need to take a moment to breathe, you could always reach out to Aric, ARIC, speaks.com. So aricspeaks.com. And the last thing I'm super excited about, and just so y'all know, y'all have got to show Chaz some love because he's allowing me to do this, and I'm super excited about it. So Count Me In is the organization where I'm the chief catalyst. So I oversee a team of 50 people, literally from all across the globe. And what we're doing is we're having our global summit. Now, due to the pandemic, it is not in person. However, it will be virtual. But let me tell you, it's 4 days of literally coming together, learning about self, learning how to have impact. And at the end, like my contract, they get to walk out of that with their contract and the power of it. So I super love it. So here's what I'm going to say. If you go to Count, COUNT, me, MEN, summit.com. So it's countmeinsummit.com. If you're a high school student or a college student, this would be for you. You will go to the website, and if you're a parent and you have a child who's like, you could definitely see them having this impact, you want to go there. There is a application. It's for a game changer if you're high school, and it's also for a groundbreaker if you are in college, and that is in there. Here's what I want to say. For anyone who registers by, today is the 2nd, let's say, what Sunday? Is that the 6th? That's the 6th, right?
I believe so. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the 6th.
It's the 6th. By December 6th, if you have entered an application for your child, and in the description, somewhere in there, say, I heard of Aric Jackson through Chaz Jackson. What will happen is my team will pull that application, put them into a drawing, and we will be giving out a free scholarship to attend this actual event. And just so you know, the event is $699 usually, but I want to bless someone with the scholarship to be able to come in and walk out with their contract and be powerful and show up for someone and be able to give them breath as well. So again, that's countmeinsummit.com.
And what day is the summit, Art?
Oh, I'm sorry. It is Memorial Day weekend. So okay. It is that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I do apologize. Like I need to be better about like knowing my stuff.
You're good. I'm
But yes, like if you have nieces, nephews, go ahead, have them all send an application in. But again, make sure you mention my name, Aric, A''RIC, or even if you mention Chaz. I saw him on Chaz's show. I'm gonna have my team pull that application. We're gonna put it in drawing, and I'm gonna get with Chaz on Sunday and let him know who the winner is for that session. So dude, I'm excited.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Somebody in the family.
I know definitely somebody's going to be reaching out for that, for sure. For sure. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Art, for blessing the audience with that. I know that's going to be a powerful summit, and yes. I look forward to a lot of lives being changed with that. I'm going to go ahead and lead us out real quick, my guy. Okay. And I told each and every one of you this was going to be a powerhouse episode. Thank you again, Art, for blessing with your time and effort. Thank each and every one of you for viewing this episode 26. I want you to stay up with GNG. More episodes coming soon. I love each and every one of you. I want you to keep that crown on your heart. And please remember this one. We are God's echo. Peace.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.